Hi, I'm Tom Morgan. I'm a Microsoft MVP and one of the community reporters at Microsoft Ignite 2019. I'm joined today by Bryan Liston. Bryan is in charge of the Development and Architecture Center at Ignite this year. Hi, Bryan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No, not at all. So there's a lot of new things happening at Microsoft Ignite this year, and one of them is seemingly a real focus on developers and including developers in what's going on at Ignite. So what's going on there? What's the story? What's the story with developers there?
Yeah, in this day and age, we want to be able to give opportunities for all sorts of people at multiple enterprises to take advantage of learning opportunities at Ignite, right? So we wanted to make sure that we're focusing on both sides of the business, really.
Nice. That's cool. And that's really good. Like that totally lines up with actually what we're seeing on the outside, if you like, what I'm seeing. So much of what we do now is part development, but it's also IT Pro. It's like
exactly.
It's infrastructure stuff.
And if you look at even if you look at what a lot of IT pros are dealing with this day and age, right? More and more IT pros are having to get into development for automation and whatnot, right? So just helping bridge that gap, really.
Yep. So I know that you're in charge of the Development and Architecture Center, but I've no idea what is the Development and Architecture Center.
That's a great question. So the Development and Architecture Center at Microsoft Ignite this year is a new experience where it's kind of a hub of activity where members of the community can go to really get help with their development and architecture, whether it's writing an application and you need help with that application, whether it's something very specific to a tool set you're using, whether you're designing a system architecture or trying to understand how to migrate existing system architecture. The Development and Architecture Center is a place that you can go to get that one-on-one expert help from folks who wrote the tools that you're using. Or if you want to sit down at the debug bar and actually pull out your laptop and write code with an engineer, we provide a space for you like that. That's like a cafe environment where you can sit down at the bar, show an engineer your laptop, and they can actually sit there and write code with you or review your architecture.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I like the idea of that. So it's going to be staffed by Microsoft people?
Correct. It's going to be staffed by multiple organizations within the company, folks who have written the products, folks who are out speaking with customers, IT pros, developers, program managers. So you have the chance to really get engaged and speak with a vast variety of folks from within the Microsoft ecosystem.
Wow, yeah, that's really cool. And so you mentioned the debug bar as kind of a part of that. Are there any other kind of things that you're working on you can share that make up what the Development and Architecture Center is?
Yeah, a good way to think about the Development and Architecture Center is the types of engagements that we have. So we think of those as one-to-many, one-to-few, and one-to-one. And so we have a theater. Theater number 6 is the Development and Architecture Theater, which will be most of the content that's in that theater will be super deep dive content around developer related topics, architecture, system design, that sort of stuff. That's our one-to-many, right? Then we've got a lightning talk area called Talk Tech, where you can go and get more of an intimate deep dive setting, one-to-few, maybe 20 to 30 people at a time. And the ability to then do Q&A with those folks who are giving those talks. And then we look at our one-to-one opportunities, things like the debug bar. We have our developer productivity area, which is things like our Visual Studio tooling and VS Code and the Azure SDKs and whatnot. And then we have our .NET corner, which is covering all things .NET, WPF, Xamarin, Windows development. Outside of that, we've got an area for folks to come and actually give developer feedback. So we've got this developer feedback wall where you can come in and write anything you want. If you're wanting to send us feedback about a product or wanting us to create a product, you can leave this feedback for us on the wall, and that feedback will translate to the product teams.
Wow, that's really cool. And some of this kind of one-to-one kind of feedback and engagement, is there any restriction on type of language, or do I need a certain level of proficiency? Because I could see people thinking that and be like, well, I'm not that good of a developer. I'm a bit worried about showing Microsoft
totally
my code
sense.
And yeah.
I think to me, the way I look at these conferences is it's an opportunity for you to speak to all sorts of experts about anything at all sorts of levels. And I think the thing that's nice about the debug bar is there are opportunities to walk away and go to a whiteboard. There are opportunities to sign up for an expert connect in another area where you and your team can come and sit down. One thing that we're doing differently this year in the Development and Architecture Center is we will actually have, at the info desk, when you walk in, there will be books that you can flip open and look through there and say, oh, I'm looking for somebody with serverless expertise, or I'm looking for somebody with Xamarin or .NET expertise. And you can flip to the Xamarin page and you can see exactly who's going to be there, exactly what time, and at exactly what booth they're going to be at. On top of that, you'll actually be able to see, is that person also giving theater talks and lightning talks that I might want to attend, so that I can follow that person through my journey throughout the day. So it really gives people just more opportunities to have that long-term journey discussion with a single engineer if they want.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's hugely valuable, actually. I think for teams that are Ignite, but individual developers, forming parts of teams, like there's so many opportunities there to kind of bring problems and just not just problems, but longer term, like how do we do, like we're thinking of doing, like, does this seem right? This seems weird. Is that the right way of doing it? Like, it's like so many good
and there's no bad
opportunities.
questions. You think about when we want people to come into the Development and Architecture Center with any question, feel comfortable, right? There are going to be times that we might not know the answer, and we'll try to find the answer for you. There is no such thing as a bad question in the Development and Architecture Center.
Awesome. Brilliant.
And then, for that matter, there's no bad question anywhere at Ignite.
So that's really cool. I mean, so I imagine actually this year there'll be lots of developers attending Ignite for the first time, because there's reasons to go now that weren't necessarily there before. Have you got any tips from attending conferences, from attending things like Ignite or previous Ignites, that you would give to those kind of first time, developers, or just anybody really, attending these conferences like this?
One tip that I like to give folks in general going to conferences is the hallway track, right? The hallway track is always one of the most useful things, right? Building those relationships, those long-term relationships with other folks in the communities. Don't be afraid to walk up to a random person or Microsoft engineer and ask them a question. That's why we're there. We're there to help you. And feel free to try and stump us. Feel free and bring any problem that you're facing, and we'll do our best to try and help you solve it. For first-time developers, I think take a look at our schedule builder, and we've got options in there for you to be able to sort and kind of look for sessions that are honed really for development-focused content. And I think that will help you build your schedule long-term for the event. And swing by the Development or Architecture Center as well.
Perfect. Yeah, great advice. All right. Thanks so much for your time. I'm excited about the Development Architecture Center now. I'm going to go and come and say hello. And I think I'm going to bring some problems as well. So we'll see.
Perfect.
But no, thanks very much. Thanks very much for your time.
Of course. Thanks for having me.